Hi, I'm TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I ask that you like, share, and comment on this video. Thanks for watching. All I gotta say is, who dat?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Shouts out to everyone listening around the country, around the world, no matter what platform that you're on. Thank you so much for tuning in. On this edition, we're going to be breaking down round number 1 of the NFL draft. And we're going to be discussing the Saints' 29th pick, Bryan Bresee, out of Clemson. We're going to be breaking that down, and we're going to be taking some of your comments. And I also going to be opening up the phone lines real soon because, you know, it seems like on social media, you know, people had, you know, a lot to say about some comments that I made that I'm going to get into. And I'm going to elaborate, and I'm going to go ahead and break it down. And I was very excited, and I'm still very excited to do this show because I want to see if some of these individuals that trying to question my thoughts and my feelings about the Saints draft pick, do they keep that same energy? That's all I want to know. But here it is. Here's the reality. The Saints on last night in round number 1, they selected Bryan Bresee, defensive tackle out of Clemson. I think when people saw that and they saw my comments, they think that I have something personal against Bryan Bresee, which I do not. This has very little to do with Bryan Bresee and everything to do with the Saints organization. Allow me to elaborate. The New Orleans Saints organization run the organization scary. They play it safe. Everything they do for the most part is pretty much nip and tuck, and they don't go outside of the box. And it's amazing to me how you have so many of these New Orleans Saints defenders out here that don't even realize that. Last season, the New Orleans Saints constantly, game in, game out, week in, week out, refuse to be aggressive when it comes to them going out there on the field and doing the things that need to be done in order for them to win. And not only does that translate from the field, it translates to the front office. And there's nothing wrong with the selection of Bryan Bresee. I want people to understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But all I'm saying is it was a safe pick. It was just the fact that, let me see, we can't get Calijah Kancey. We can't get Jalen Carter. What would be the next guy? You know, like that. What would be the next guy that we can get? Oh, yeah, let's get Bryan Bresee. That's the way it was, and that's the way that I look at it. Now, some people would say, well, the Saints scheme. When he fits the scheme. Man, I just got a question for all those people out there that keep on talking about this scheme. What has the scheme done for the New Orleans Saints defensively? Like defensively, what has this scheme done to help the New Orleans Saints get over the hump? The Saints, they play really good defense, yes. But somebody please name me a player, a young player that has emerged like a phoenix that's rising from the ashes. Name me a defensive player on the defensive line since Cam Jordan that has consistently done what we need them to do. Why is it that every single year we up here around week 6, week 7, week 8 asking about a guy who is going into his 13th season? Why is he getting double-digit sacks when you have drafted 2 guys since 2018 in Davenport and Peyton Turner to be Cam Jordan's successors? But y'all want to talk about scheme. Bruh, how many times do y'all have to watch the New Orleans Saints when they go up against athletic quarterbacks? Cannot run these dudes down, cannot tackle these dudes because they don't have the athleticism, the ability to be able to track these dudes down. The only person that can consistently do that is Cam Jordan. But y'all want to sit up here and talk about scheme. Oh, he fits the scheme. The problem with the New Orleans Saints is the athleticism on the defensive line. And I am going to continue to shout from the heavens until people understand where I'm coming from. You have to understand that the league is changing. The statue quarterbacks that we rant and rave about when the Saints knocked them off for a victory, and we talk about how the defense shuts them down, those guys are fading out. The Tom Brady's are gone. The Matt Ryans are gone. The Phillip Rivers are gone. The Drew Brees are gone. You have a new breed of quarterback, the guys that can deliver the ball in the pocket, but when the pocket breaks down, they can run out the pocket and they get their head on the goalpost. So while y'all sitting up here talking about prototypical 6'5", 6'6" defensive ends with long wingspan who only have one pass rush move to their name, miss me with that scheme part. It's time for you to try to move on and try to find more athletic players. Now, people would tell me that I'm upset about the whole Nolan Smith thing. First off, anybody that has ever followed me from the State of the Saints podcast in the 6 years I've been doing that, you automatically know that I do not do takes based on emotion. I have passion behind what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with the fact of Nolan Smith not being drafted by the Saints. In my opinion, it's dumb. But at the same time, when people tell me, oh, he's undersized, let me help y'all out with this. Okay? Because sometimes what happens is we become prisoners of narratives, right? Oh, a smaller guy, he's not big enough in order for him to pursue the quarterback. I don't normally take notes, but I took some today. Can I interest you in Haason Reddick, who has 16 sacks, and he is 230 pounds? Can I interest you in Alex Highsmith, who had 14 and a half sacks, who is 240 pounds? Can I interest you in Micah Parsons, who had 13 and a half sacks? He's 240 pounds. So miss me with that stuff about, oh, Nolan Smith is too small to pursue the quarterback. And then here's another thing that people aren't paying attention to. How is it that y'all can sit up here and watch Caden Ellis start in 11 games out of 17 and produce 7 sacks from the linebacker position? And you can't look at that and be like, you know what? We got something there. If we can move on from Caden Ellis and we can find somebody that can kind of fit that role, maybe we can run a defense like that, and maybe we can get a linebacker that can pursue the quarterback, and maybe he can get double-digit sacks. Why is it that we're not looking at the positive things that we can actually build on, but instead we're trying to be stubborn and trying to be the same defense, the same old song and dance that we've always been, and we're not trying to look at the good qualities or the things that could possibly change in order for the defense not only to be good, but even greater, because now you have somebody that has that skill set that you saw last year that could work. So while y'all still sitting up here shouting from the heavens, the scheme, the scheme, the scheme, the scheme, man, we got to look at the scheme. He fits the scheme. While y'all still doing this, you have these athletic, smaller, hybrid edge rushers that are out here that are wreaking havoc in the league. Meanwhile, we around here looking like we about to start the big three. So, man, look, I don't care if this is unpopular opinion. I can care less what anybody else thinks. I don't care. The fact is, you look at the league and you look at the skill set of these quarterbacks, and if you are just sitting around here worried about a guy just looking like a skyscraper, but he only has one pass rush to his name, and when he does get there, you got a quarterback that's so elusive, he can get outside the pocket and gain 15 yards, gain 20 yards, gain 7 yards for the first down, gain 10 yards for the first down. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear anything because I don't want to hear nobody coming on the show. If this happens again, because the Saints can't match the athletic prowess of the offense that they're going against, I don't want to hear nobody crying on the State of the Saints podcast. Man, TJ, bro, man, I don't understand why we just can't get after these athletic quarterbacks. I don't understand it, TJ. Well, I do. Right? But you got some people out here that's going to wave the pom-poms of the New Orleans Saints. And no matter how much we should question what they're doing, we're going to continue to find reasons as to why, that everything works. I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. Well, yeah, I mean, if you can see what they're doing, that's great. But I'm not mad at the Brian Brees situation. I understand why they did it. But all I'm saying is I'm just tired of all this safe stuff. How about stepping outside of the box? How about finding a way to be a little bit more aggressive? How about trying to take your defense to the next level? You got some dogs on defense. You got some guys that are going to be where they need to be. Of course, they do what they need to do in order for them to be effective. But where's the playmaker? Well, where's the clutch plays? Right? Where's the guys that step up and be like, man, this dude is virtually uncoverable? You have games like that from Cam Jordan from time to time, but how many times are we going to have to rely on Cam Jordan? How many times are we going to rely on a guy who's going into his 13th season? And quite honestly, I don't feel like at this stage of Cam Jordan's career, we should just be looking at him wholeheartedly and solely as the guy that is the difference maker and the game changer for the defense. Especially since you drafted two guys at the same position in the last 5 years. One of the guys isn't even there anymore. So that's the way I feel about it. Don't care if it's not popular opinion. I can care less. It is what it is. Let me go ahead and open up the phone lines. I'm about to put I'm going to go ahead and put the description in the chat. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and read some of your comments. Said this kid is nasty and we need nasty. Don't judge him solely on Clemson because they put him only where they wanted him. I'm not judging the guy. Am I kind of skeptical on Clemson players? Yes. But the way that I feel about Brian Brees has nothing to do with who he is as a person. Like, I know the dude can play. I seen the guy at the combine. I seen him, doing different things. I watched this film. Not mad at the situation of who he is as a person. I'm just saying it was a safe pick. You had, it was safe, and it speaks. Well, I don't want to say it speaks volumes, but that's what the Saints are. They're a safe team, safe picks, safe coaching selection, safe plays, safe draft. Period. Let's go ahead and go to Jerry. Jerry, how you doing, man?
What's going on, TJ? Happy Friday to you, man. How you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing just fine, man. Thank you for chiming in. What you got for us?
TJ, I was just listening at your rant, bro. I understand how you feel, and I understand how Saints feel in the chat. But after that Brian Breezy pick on Thursday night, I'm cool with it. Mm-hmm. I'm cool with this draft because think about some of the defensive guys that we lost going to another team. We lost Davenport that went to the Vikings. Mm-hmm. We lost Shy Turtle that going to the Panthers. And we lost David Onyemata and Caden Ellis to the Falcons.
Right.
This pick right here that we got Thursday night, I love it. Because we need an upgrade defensive tackle, and that what was on our list in the first round. Either a defensive end or a linebacker or a defensive tackle, and we got that on Thursday night. So I can't speak for everybody else. I mean, I love the Who Dat Nation. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Whether you like this pick or you don't, we go with what we got.
Look, I once again, I have no problem with Brian Brees as a player. I don't. I'm just saying, like, I look at me watching this football team consistently for I don't know how long, right? And the same issues have plagued them for the last 4 to 5 years. The inability to be able to go after those athletic quarterbacks and be able to neutralize them. And it has a lot to do with the fact of you have, of course, if you're a football player, you're an athlete, but hybrid guys that can do so many different things that can be able to neutralize these quarterbacks has been the issue. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, once, you know, you let Dave Ayamata go, you get Colin Sanders in here, you get Nathan Shepard. These guys are a little bit more athletic than what we're used to, right? So I'm thinking, okay, man, we rolling with him, man. We hot. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, this happens. So I'm like, what are we doing here, man? That's all I'm saying. Like, it was safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a safe pick. It was a pick that it was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let's just go with him. You know, like, I think they probably tried to move up to try to maybe get somebody like Mozzie Smith or something like that. I really believed it. Right. But maybe they felt like, okay, we can't get Mozzie. Kalijah went, you know what I'm saying, to Tampa. Let's just go with Brian Brees. Like, that's just how I feel about it, man. And I just don't.
TJ, let me.
I'm a little bit more aggressive. That's all.
I'm gonna pick you up right there because I was thinking the exact same thing as well as other Saints fans are feeling. We thought we were going to get Clancy or Smith or whoever defensive guy we were going to look at, and Myles Murphy. We were nearly about to get him, but Cincinnati beat us to the punch and got him.
Right.
I mean, that's what every Saint fan mindset is on, TJ. Same thing with you and same thing with me. We thought we were going to get the guy that we had in our radar, but it didn't turn out the way it was scheduled. I mean, we were going to get Clancy, but Tampa Bay beat us. We were going to get Mozzie Smith. The Cowboys got him. We were going to get Myles Murphy. The Bengals got him. And we were going almost nearly about to get Nolan Smith, but he went to the Eagles after us. So,
yeah.
But once again, I like the pick what we got, TJ. Let's see what this guy is capable of going forward. And he could be a big upgrade because you know, Cam Jordan, he's up in age and he's going to need somebody alongside him. So when he retires in the future, you're going to have somebody to carry the load.
Yeah, I mean, look, my thought pattern is not, man, I don't get emotional about, oh, they didn't select this dude, they select him. Do I feel like they should have gotten Nolan Smith or somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, like athletic, like a Kalijah Kancey? Yes, I'm more on, you often hear me say this, right? Those that don't remember their history is doomed to repeat it. I feel like if you see something that works, right? It's a copycat league. You've seen like all these athletic guys on the interior that these teams are selecting because they understand that the mode of the quarterback is changing. You're not going to, like, the way that the Saints are structured and have been structured over the last 5.5, maybe 10 years have been a defense designed for a guy that's a stationary target. Why do you think, honestly, why do you think they find so much success with guys who are stationary targets? It's not a coincidence that Tom Brady plays his worst when he goes up against the Saints because they know he ain't going anywhere. Right? But if they go up against a guy that can move around the pocket, extend plays, it's trouble for him. And I'm just tired of watching this, man. And I just wish they just add more athleticism to this line. And I just, man, I want what San Francisco has. I want what Philadelphia is doing. I'm serious. Like, I understand. I want to see athletic guys. I don't want to just see guys who, oh, he's strong. He pushing his offensive line back every now and then. I want a guy like, when you look at him on tape, you like, man, this dude virtually unstoppable. That's what I want. And for the fact that they just continues to get the same picks, and like, man, I'm tired.
TJ, let me interact with you on that, because I thought about it last night on Thursday night, and I thought about it again this Friday morning. You're gonna have a whole lot of Saints fans and other teams of their fan base. You're gonna hear them say, "Oh, this guy stay hurt too much. He didn't even see the field out there." You're gonna get that a lot going forward. But time preseason come and the regular season start, and you're gonna look at this guy that you drafted, and you're gonna look at him like from training camp and OTAs and stuff like that. You're gonna be like, I think we made the right decision and got this guy what we got. You're gonna get a lot of reactions from everybody, whether they like the pick or whether they don't like the pick.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, TJ, is we got the defensive tackle we got, and I'm happy with it.
Well, I mean, look, they need a defensive tackle. We already talked about that.
That was a need.
I just wish that they would have went, if they was going to go in the interior, I just wish they would have got a little bit more athletic. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But, I mean, he had 9.5 sacks, during his Clemson career from the interior, which is impressive for a lineman. I'm not really, like, getting into, like, the whole injury thing. That's a story for a whole nother day. But, yeah, I do have a wait-and-see approach. I'm kind of skeptical about Clemson players. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm willing to give him a chance because I mean,
that's all it takes.
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, I like the guy, I like the story. He seemed like a humble guy.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know about the situation that happened with his sister, who passed away.
Yeah, I heard about that. Man,
I watched that video right after he was drafted. Man, I mean, it was touching. But like I said, man, I don't know. This is a wait and see approach. This is the wait and see approach, and maybe that's what getting to me too. But Jerry, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you chiming in, man. Call back anytime.
We'll do, TJ. And before I go, since round 2 and 3 is later this evening, who are you looking at number 40 in round 2, and who are you looking at number 71 in round 3? Because I know Saturday is going to be a big day because we got 5 picks. We'll talk about that later. But we're talking about now. Who you looking at in round 2 and 3?
In round 2, I would probably be rolling with. I can see them going get a wide receiver. If that's available, maybe somebody like Jonathan Mingo, like if he's available to them. I can also see them maybe going defensive line again. To be honest with you, what I'm saying, like somebody as an edge rusher. So I can see that as well. They got some guys that they have that. The guy at Northwestern, Edebawe, is a guy that I was looking at. I like his upside and his athletic ability. I think that's somebody they might be looking at in the 3rd round. I could probably see them. Depends on who's available. I can see them selecting a young quarterback during that time, and I can also see them selecting maybe a safety as well. So
yeah, that's what's on my mind too. I'm looking at it in round 2. I think he's going to be a linebacker or a wide receiver in round 2, or I'm looking at a safety, or
I can see a tight end in the 2nd round too. I can see like them, if Darnell Washington is available in the 2nd round, I can see them snatching him. I can see that.
Could be.
That's not out the realm of possibility either.
Yeah, but also in round 3, I'm looking at either offensive tackle, safety. Who knows, man? We just have to see who we get in round 2 and 3 Friday night. So, and because it's rounds 2 and 3 and it starts at 6, so we'll see who we get.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. But Jerry, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. Call back anytime.
We'll do, TJ. You have a blessed weekend, and shouts out to everybody in the chat. Y'all have a great weekend. Hey, let's keep this ride going. Who that?
Yeah, who that, man? Take it easy.
You too.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is definitely a wait and see approach when it comes to Brian Brees. But like I said, man, I stand by what I said. I'm not here to wave pom-poms, and I'm not here to tell people what they want to hear. Like, it's going to be times where we just disagree. It is what it is. I mean, if we just had a show where everybody just agree with everybody, how interesting would that be? So if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not sitting up here saying that my word is gospel. I'm just saying how I feel. And I think that, when people feel like they're not like-minded, they try to label you, which I don't care, because outside of this microphone, not many people that say things to me actually know who I am as a person. So I don't take it personal. But let's see. Let me read a few comments, then we'll go to Money Mick. Says, but needed because playing against Bryce Young, you'll need these tall alignment. Still a chance to get the kid from Northwestern. I just talked about him. Says, enjoyed McDonald's fries and ice cream on top. If Dennis Allen would have got Will Levis, somebody was getting these hands. Yeah, if they would have got Will Levis, my goodness, that would have been interesting right there. I think I would have ended the show that night. I would have just ended the show. Y'all would have thought I had internet connection issues. Let's see, TJ, I don't understand your stance. Brees is very athletic and a high motor. Isn't that what you want? Boot Tragedies had a great breakdown on him. Well, once again, me personally, I have nothing against Brian Brees, but watching these guys, watching the film, watching, like these guys based on their athletic ability and things that I saw. I mean, it's like this. He's the guy who basically kind of just does everything right. Like, he's not going to really stand out. He didn't really stand out in the crowd. Like, if you put this guy in there, he just basically does everything right. He just fundamentally sound. But then you have guys who are fundamentally sound, but they flash, pop out right there in front of you. And he has moments, but you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. There's to me, and maybe like I said, watching a lot of these guys on the interior, seeing these dudes up close and practice and in games, and watching, I don't think I ever watched as much film, and I definitely haven't watched these guys up close. It's been the first time since, since I became a member of the media, getting these credentials, I was able to see these dudes up close. So you get a chance to really see these dudes interact with one another, seeing, and also the tape. And like I said, I don't watch highlight films. I don't. They got a highlight film of Brian Brees, I guess when he was in high school. He looked like a man among boys. And of course at Clemson, I don't pay attention to highlights like that. If I put highlights out about a person, it's because I looked at their lowlights too. And I watched their worst games where it's rather nip and tuck, or they getting beat, they team getting beat to sleep. And I see how they respond, and I pay attention to them. I see if they still giving everything that they have. I watch and see if they're doing everything they possibly can to try to win their reps. I pay attention to those things. And I also pay attention to the fact that if a guy's consistently popping off the screen. And like I said, when it comes to Brian Brees, really good, but I just feel like he just fundamentally sound. Like he is what the Saints want because it's safe. And I just wish that this team just kind of, be aggressive every now and then. Money Mick, how you doing?
What's going on, good brother?
Hey, man, what you got for us?
Hey, man, I just want to preface this by saying I come in peace. I don't want no smoke. I'm just a young man with an opinion, bro, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, man, look, first of all, we talked, I think about a month ago, one of the things that I agree with you on, we talked about how the Saints do need to get more athletic at the line. That was something that Dennis Allen addressed too at the players or at the coaches meeting. That was a question that's kind of been on everybody's mind. We normally go with bigger, more aggressive guys. But anyway, when he said that and he kind of doubled down on it and said, yeah, that's what they prefer. I don't know if you kind of seen in your comments a couple of shows ago when we were talking about Chase Young, but I said they're more than likely going to draft Brian Brees because he kind of told you everything you kind of need to know. They are going to stick with what kind of works best for their scheme. The Saints' philosophy, at least what it appears like to me, has always been to stop the run first. These big guys stop the run, and the way that they play these running quarterbacks is to basically keep them in the pocket. Does it work all the time? No. We see what happens with Jalen Hurts. We get abused consistently when we play the Eagles. even last year, the first game of the season when we played Atlanta with Marcus Mariota, that happens frequently. But I kind of understand why they did it. I think DeMarco Jackson is going to be the replacement for Caden Ellis there, so that's probably why they didn't go with Nolan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they want to use this guy. I think in 3 seasons at Clemson he had 9 sacks. Nolan Smith 4 seasons had 12.5 sacks. I know statistics can kind of be skewed either way, but I understand why they did it. But I understand your disagreement for it too. You want us to go more athletic, and I get it. When we got to place now we have to play Bryce Young, the quarterback in Atlanta, who's also mobile as well.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder. I try to forget Atlanta players intentionally, man. My bad. When we got to play them, when we have to play them twice a year, I understand it. But I seen this, man. I seen this coming from a mile away, and that's because the Saints they like certain players that's gonna fit their mold, man. Do we agree with it? No. Does it work all the time? Heck no. We get beat up on a lot by these running quarterbacks, but yeah. So, man, sorry, but I kind of seen it coming, man, but I get your frustration though.
Well, I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because I think I got myself kind of psyched up. I really feel this way. Hear me out, Mick. I feel like when I start seeing like them going and getting Nathan Shepard, and I seen like, man, because I watch Red Zone and stuff like that, man. I see like these guys, like they, I watch some of these games, and I seen how Nathan Shepard, if he gets more opportunities, like this dude can be like he can be an upgrade for what we lost in Shy Tuttle. Like if he gets more reps. And then you see Colin Saunders, like watching him when he was in college and seeing him in Kansas City, like how freakishly athletic he is for a big man. I start looking, I'm like, okay, man, they finally doing what we feel like they need to do, man. Maybe they starting to understand like the league is changing. They need some athleticism to chase after these quarterbacks consistently like that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like this happens, and I'm like, I mean, and like I said, if he's athletic, okay, you cannot play football if you're not athletic. But it just the status quo, I guess, is what it just represents, just the status quo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is, like you just alluded to, like, this is a New Orleans Saints type guy. And I guess, I just want to kind of move on from that. Like, I just want to move on from this same mind frame. Because, I mean, I get the long wingspan from the taller defenders and stuff like that and all that. I get it 100%. But, man, I'm just getting tired of watching these athletic quarterbacks just pick these dudes apart, and they have no answer for it. Like, if you watch that game versus the Baltimore Ravens, like, I know Lamar Jackson is just otherworldly, but when you watch that, it's like this dude virtually could do everything that he wanted to do. Like, this dude was just back there just toying with these guys defensively. I don't think I seen that. Probably the last time I seen something like that was when RG3 made his like debut when he was with the Redskins. Like this dude, like I literally held my breath every time this dude threw the football because he was doing like that's how it felt. And you just get tired of watching it. And you want to see that situation get addressed. So I don't know, like I said, maybe it was just the fact that I thought that they were going to go in a different direction, and then it seemed like they just reverted back to their old ways. So that was kind of what got to me, man. You got anything else?
Yeah, I get you, man. The last thing I would say, I 100% agree. I'm a little terrified now that Bryce Young is in our division, and he's not Lamar Jackson, but these quarterbacks kind of fit that same mold. And you can do a lot when you got a guy like Frank Wright. That's in my opinion, that might rub some people the wrong way, but at this point, he's the best coach in the division. That's my opinion. I
agree with that. I ain't gonna get no disagreement from me. Y'all already know how I feel about. If you've been rolling with the show, you know how I feel about Frank Wright. So
yeah, he's the best coach in the division. I think that Bijan Robinson pick from Atlanta, I think that also kind of played a part in this Brian Bresee pick, because like I said, their main priority has always been to stop the run first and to stop the quarterback by containing it. But when we get games like that Monday night game versus the Ravens, it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to play Jalen Hurts. It's frustrating when we have to watch Marcus Mariota, who's mobile, but not as mobile as those other guys that I just mentioned to, run all over the defense. You know what I mean? So I would say the Saints, Man, they might want to come with it on offense because we're gonna need to be pretty high powered.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the next thing. I think you go get an offensive lineman tonight. Probably address tight end and running back too sometime, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, man, I get your frustration, bro. But we've been watching the Saints long enough to know that as long as they're under Mickey Loomis, under this current regime, they're going to be conservative. These are the conservative Saints.
Yeah. All right. I mean, like I said, it's only one pick. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not like, oh man, like some people like they ready to jump off the dome. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute, you still got 7 more picks left. But I guess, man, it was just, bro, it was just amazing, man. How I was like, I've said this for weeks. I'm like, I don't think I could get upset in any direction that they actually go in. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, like I said, it was just, I don't know, man. It was just when I seen those 2 athletic defensive tackles that they signed through free agency come to the team, and I was like, man, finally, I'm like, okay, man, we getting away from the Peytonisms. So maybe it wasn't just Peytonism. Maybe it was Mickeyisms too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, them selecting these guys. Maybe it was a collection of both. I don't know. But like I said, I think maybe I just put too much stock into that. So when they actually did this, it just kind of made me feel like, okay, man, maybe they haven't changed as much as I thought. That's what I guess that's the best way I can put it. And it may sound like I was going at Brees, but it's just the fact that, like I said, it's not so much him. It's just like he kind of fits that stereotypical defensive lineman of the Saints mold.
Yeah, I think the frustration come in too because we first of all the way it happened, we continuously help the Eagles out. Because in my opinion, I don't think Chauncey. I think you should have paid that. You should have paid that man. I think you should have paid Chauncey. I think you should have paid Marcus Williams. No disrespect to the other guy. I'm blanking on his name, Marcus May. He cool, but man, I think you pay your top guys. And I think the frustration is we have to watch the Eagles again take something that was right there for us to take. And I think it was just a combination of things. You know what I mean? But last thing, I'm blanking on the guy's name. But before I go, it's a DB out of Illinois, not the one that was taken last night. It's a guy from Illinois, man. I'm gonna tweet you his name, but if you just go watch this guy, films, highlights, or whatever, man, I hope the Saints take him either tomorrow or sometime some kind of way trade up because he fits what we need perfectly in a nickel. I don't think we signed PJ Williams yet. We didn't sign him back yet. But anyway, man, I'll send it to you, man. If you have time today, man, just check it out. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure I check that out, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for chiming in, Mick.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care. Yeah. I mean, look, the second round is tonight. We know historically the Saints have done like really well. Last year, they got Alontae Taylor in the second round. I mean, he's a fan favorite right now. Michael Thomas was a second round pick. I mean, the Saints historically have done a really good job. Eric McCoy. So, I mean, they produced some really good players in the second round. I mean, honestly, there's one guy on the board. This could kind of be a little bit of a luxury pick, but we know that Dennis Allen loves, his secondary. If Brian Branch is still there when the Saints select the safety out of Alabama, don't be surprised if they select him. I mean, you got Marcus May there. I know they got Jonathan Abram, Lonnie Johnson Jr. and stuff like that, but I mean, if you can get yourself a young, talented safety like that, that'll be a plus. Plus, you don't have to worry about paying them for the next couple of years. And a Honey Badger getting up there in age, and you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with Marcus May. So Brian Branch may be a little bit of a dark horse, but we'll see, man. There's different directions that they can actually go in. But we're going to go ahead and go with Aaron from the Black and Gold Breakdown podcast. Aaron, how you doing, man? Been a long time, man. Been a minute since we talked, man.
Man, you ain't lied a second, man. How you been, bro?
Man, been all right, man. I hope everything right, man. I seen you working out at the gym, man, trying to get your body right, man. So first off, how that's going, man?
Yo, dude, I am so proud to say I've lost 11 pounds so far.
Oh, man, that's awesome. That's awesome, man.
It actually feels riveting to be able to get back into the gym. I just ended up paying my subscription for Planet Fitness just this morning. So as soon as I'm done here, my butt is going down the street. You feel
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm the same way, man. As soon as I leave up out of here, I try to get it in too, man. But I'm proud of you, man. Not only just about the gym stuff, man, but also just your analysis and everything that you're doing as far as with sports and with the New Orleans Saints, man. But yeah, go ahead, man. The floor is yours, man. Go in any direction you would like, man.
Okay, so I wanted Miles Murphy. I wanted to say that for everybody right now. When the Bengals selected Miles Murphy, I cursed the Bengals. I was F the Bengals all day, every day. I hate them. I hated them before. I got even more reason I hate them now. Okay, so with that being said, though, a lot of talk I've seen was they chose this guy over this guy. And my point was everyone wants to talk about Brazee's injury history. So, TJ, I want to get into that just a little bit. So, Brian Brzee, one of the top prospects coming out of high school, he missed all of 2021 with not only an ACL injury, but he had shoulder surgery in January of 2022, and he missed springtime activity. I will acknowledge that. But with that being said, what other injury can you find on Brian Brzee that isn't that's considered major, right? I'm talking about he broke a limb or he ruptured something. What other than those two, what can you find on Brian Brzee that would really scream that this man is injury prone? Because the only quote unquote games he missed since those injuries was only 4 games, 3 of which was to a kidney infection, and 1 game was I believe it was one other game he missed. It was due to something else. But he missed 4 games after that. He has not missed a single game since. He's played 10 games in 2020. He played 4 games in 2021. He played another 10 games in 2022. This guy has been overall a clean bill of health in his last couple of years, and that's really interesting considering on the other side, everybody that's highlighting Nolan Smith, the guy suffered a torn pectoral muscle and he missed his entire 2022 season. So he's coming into the league with a little bit of wear and a little more recent wear and tear on his body. And you talked about fit. You mentioned scheme fit. You're talking about you want to get these athletic defensive linemen that can get after these athletic quarterbacks that have historically given the Saints some trouble. I would argue that the scheme is sound, but the personnel they use to make up the scheme is what needed to change. You mentioned Reddick, I'll raise Bosa. You said Alex Highsmith, I'll raise you Myles Garrett. You mentioned Micah Parsons, I'll raise you Max Crosby. So we can go tit for tat here with athletic outside linebackers and athletic high-powered defensive ends that's what the Saints are trying to find. So, and let's look at what the Saints lost recently. They lost Shy Tuttle to the Carolina Panthers. They lost David Onyemata to the Atlanta Falcons. Who else did they lose, TJ?
You said David Onyemata, Caden Ellis. They lost Shy Tuttle. Who else? I think on the defensive line, I think that's basically it. That's part of that rotation, if I'm not mistaken.
So, and Marcus Davenport. Okay, Marcus Davenport. So
if a tree falls in the woods, I mean.
So between those 3 guys, Davenport, Onyemata, Tuttle, the Saints only lost less than 5 sacks between those 3 men. Less than 3. You can easily find that in Colin Saunders alone, who had his best statistical season of his career in his last year with the Kansas City Chiefs. Not only that, he brings a winning pedigree on top of freakish athleticism that you highlighted just moments ago that is rare to find in a guy of his stature.
Right.
Shepard, he brings not just athleticism, but veteran. He knows he is gap sound. He has incredible instincts. He doesn't really produce in terms of on the stat sheet, but he's the guy that does the role. That's a role player that does the dirty, so other players around him can shine. And I can live with an effective role player like that. The problem I've had with the Saints that really could kind of play into what you were arguing for is they needed to stop relying on undrafted talents they in the UDFA pool. These Shy Totals, these Malcolm Roaches, even though I love Malcolm Roach as a Texas guy. These other guys like Albert Huggins, guys of this nature, they're not going to do it. They need it. I pine for this. They need to go big and get these guys that you know will absolutely produce.
All right.
Marcus Davenport, Peyton Turner, the argument with them, on top of the obvious injury, the whole injury thing, right, is the player has to equal the value. Like the value of the player needs to be equal to the position in which they're taken. Marcus Davenport obviously wasn't that. That guy was more of a mid-third, early fourth rounder at the best in terms of his raw talent. Peyton Turner, that guy in late first, like a mid-second to late third. So they overextended on those two. So they needed to reevaluate the draft process. Their prototypes I had no issue with, but they needed to be more sound in where they get these guys. If the value matches if their value matches their production, then I would almost bet the majority of the Saints fan base wouldn't be having these type of conversations all over on Twitter, all over on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. So I like Brzee. I've studied him. Brzee is a freakish guy, athletic guy. He's not as injury prone as a lot of fans like to make him out to be. He knows how to stay on the field. He has that winning pedigree from his time in Clemson. I'm not too mad about it. Now, I wanted Myles Murphy. I wanted him. I still want him. F the Bengals. But I can't be too mad considering that Bryan Brzee, as right now as a talent, is an instant upgrade over what you lost in Shy Tuttle and what you lost in Albert Huggins, and even right now what you have in Malcolm Roach. His talent level just puts them above. So now they need to find out who they're going to pair with Bryan Brzee, because the Saints historically do better in the run game if they have two guys who are equally athletic and know how to have gap integrity, like Sheldon Rankins and David Onyemata. We've been looking for that second D2 tackle since Rankins left to go to the Jets, and that's what really hurt the Saints. That's what really hurt the run defense over the last two seasons. But before that, you find a better run stopping defense than New Orleans Saints from 2017 to 2019.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I look at the defensive line, once again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but when they got Shepard and when they got Saunders, I was excited about it because of the athletic ability. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about, and when you talked a little bit about like some of those guys like the Myles Garretts and the Aiden Hutchinsons and the Bosas, they kind of like fit that stereotypical mold to a certain extent. Yeah, hybrids, but they're still over like 260, 270. The reason why I highlighted guys like Hassan Reddick and Alex Highsmith and Michael Parsons is because they don't fit the status quo. So when my whole argument was when it came to Nolan Smith is when people say, "Oh, he's too small." You know somebody else that's small, but the guy's selected real high? Will McDonald. Will McDonald is small too. He around the same. He probably even smaller than Nolan Smith is. But you know what I'm saying? They still select him. So that's all I'm saying. Like when people say like, "Oh, you know, he's too small," the rest of that was my only argument. Not to like low light those guys like with the Myles Garretts and stuff. I mean, those guys are like freaks of nature. They hybrids, you know what I'm saying? But to say that those guys that fit that particular mold are the only ones that can, you know, go after the quarterback, you know, I just feel like, you know, that's not the right way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? There's a spot for them. Now, if you want to make an argument about the way the Saints play defensively, that is true. Like, you know, but we seen it, Aaron. We seen if the Saints allow a linebacker to put his hand on the ground and pursue a quarterback, he can find success. Kaden Ellis has 7 sacks in 11 games. So imagine, like, think about this. Imagine they really unleashed him probably the last 5 weeks of the season. So imagine, like, if they had that dude playing that defense the way they was doing it, he probably would have had double-digit sacks. So that's all I'm saying. Like, just the same way when they went out here and signed Jarius Byrd to play the middle of the field because they seen the Seattle Seahawks have Earl Thomas back in the day, why can't you look at what other teams are doing? Why, or better yet, why aren't you looking at the tape about some things that you did that was positive and try to build on that, man? That was my only question. That's my only question. And like I said, I think I psyched myself up because I felt like they were trying to do something different and unconventional. And my whole stance when it comes to the Saints, I just want them to embark on this new journey instead of them looking at what Sean Payton did and trying to follow Sean Payton's recipe, right? You know what I'm saying? It was a good recipe, but every now and then, man, you know, you got to put your own little spin on it. And I think that's probably why I was taken back by the pick. It had nothing to do with Brissett. It just represented a Sean Payton type, you know what I'm saying, selection. And like I said, I mean, I think the dude is talented, but I just thought they would just do something different.
So I can follow that logic. I will say, this is just my interpretation on it. I'm not gospel. So what my interpretation on that is, they're probably going to sprinkle in more of what they did with Kaden Ellis. Kind of like, you know, they got DeMarco Jackson.
Yeah.
They got DeMarco Jackson. They got Pete Warner. They obviously DeMario Davis. So they might try to replicate that blitzing linebacker, that Tampa style, Devin White style blitzing linebacker in obvious pass rushing situations with one of those other guys. But I think overall, Dennis Allen is going with this 4-3 scheme because of what he already has currently on his roster. The veterans right now, not just I'm looking at the veteran. I'm looking at the Cam Jordans. I'm looking at the DeMario Davis. I'm looking at the Marshawn Lattimore. I'm looking at even Tyrann Mathieu, who now is going into his second year, understanding what this defense is about, what personnel packages Dennis Allen is looking for. So these guys like that, who are used to playing in this basic 4-3 and on the hand occasions a nickel 4-2-5, these type of situations, I don't think DA really likes the 4-3. The 3-4.
No, you don't.
No, I think he would like to at some point. I would hope at some point, but for right now, to make sure the veterans understand that they know what they need to do and how they need to bring up these new guys that are coming into the building, I think he's going with this type of system because it's what they know best.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll see. We'll see though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Dennis Allen, I know that their base defense is like a 4-3, but they play different types of schemes. They'll do some 3-4. You know, like they'll put some 4-3 out there. I mean, they change it up quite a bit. You know, so I mean, he finds ways in order for them to be able to find success defensively. Like I said, my biggest concern, and I just don't want it going forward, Aaron, is when they face these athletic quarterbacks, man. Like I said, the statuesque quarterback is a dying breed, and you have to have some athletes on the line to be able to counteract what these guys can actually do. And not to mention, like, if you have an athletic linebacker and a really good running back, you know, like that's even worse. So I just wanted to see them improve. So like you said, the draft just started, so maybe they'll just find somebody, you know, maybe another edge rusher or something like that later down the line, or maybe even in the second round that they can maybe put on the line that can be a little bit disruptive and provide some athleticism. Or heck, maybe they feel like Peyton turned the corner or something like that, which I hope, you know, but because being a first round draft pick and being a healthy scratch the majority of the games, that's not a good look at all. You know, that's not instilling confidence in the fan base. And that shows that maybe the coaching staff don't have that confidence in him. So only time will tell. You got anything else for us, man?
I got two things, one question and one thing you could possibly look out for in tonight's round two. First one, a question. You've probably seen it already on Twitter. A lot of Saints fans are pining for Chase Young. They willingly give up a second round pick for him. Me personally, no. I would throw up in my mouth if they give up a second round pick for Chase Young. Now, I love Chase Young coming out of Ohio State. He was one of the best prospects coming into that draft class. But much like with these similar guys that we're over here complaining about, the Davenports, the Turners, so on and so forth, the guy's damaged goods. And on top of that, these are rumors and reports that hasn't been verified yet, but there are reports circulating around the net that there are some commitment issues that Chase Young doesn't like participating in off-season workouts with the team, with the Washington Commanders.
Right.
Now, you have to factor in that organization is a shit show and a half with what they got going on off the field. So he probably doesn't even want to be around that. But I don't like the idea of a second round pick going for someone who is trying to battle back from an injury when you can do that right now on someone who has a clean bill of history and can be instant impact or an instant starter for, say, your offense. So my first question, TJ, what are your thoughts on the Saints possibly looking to Chase Young? If they do want to trade for him, what package can you see them going in to try to get him down to New Orleans?
Well, I said a third round pick. I don't think a second round pick would be suffice. Here's the thing, you alluded to it. It's the fact that he has injury history. So why would you do that? Like, it's not like he's just going to stop being injured if he's already been plagued with injuries throughout his time in the league. So why would you? That's a commitment. So if you're going to do that, you want to give a third round pick and you want to put some stipulations in there. Like, I know this is a terrible stipulation, and shouts out to the Jets fan that just popped up in the chat. But with the trade between the Packers and the Jets, if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of his offensive snaps, then the second round pick that they have turns into a first round pick, right? I think you'll have to put something like that inside the contract. Like, we'll give you a third round pick, but if he has to play 70% or 80% of his snaps, if not, then, you know what I'm saying, we have to give you a fifth round pick or something like that. Like, it got to be something of that nature. And also, you got to think about this, okay? They're not going to give him his fifth year option. So what does that mean? That means that if you're signing him, more than likely you're going to have to pay him. So there's more money on your books versus you actually doing your due diligence and getting a guy that you just mentioned that is winning the battle of attrition that you can put on the defensive line, and he can go out there and wreak havoc for the low price of $299. You know what I'm saying? So you can have him out there for like 2 to 3 years, and don't have to worry about paying him, and you can get production out of him versus Chase Young coming in. He gives you that production, gets everybody all excited. Well, now you have to be trying to think about paying him north of $100 million. So wouldn't be a smart decision there. But to answer your question, it will have to be a third round pick with some conditions. Like, he has to be healthy. And if he's not healthy, then that third round pick turns to a 5 because, he wasn't out there a certain percentage of the snaps. It have to be something like that.
Oh, so you're talking about a conditional fourth round pick that could turn into a third depending on production.
Exactly. Like something like that. Like, okay, we'll give you a third, but a third turn to a 5. Like something like that. Or, we'll give you a fifth. And like you just alluded to, like if he gets 10 sacks or something like that, or like I say, he plays like 80 some odd % of the snaps, then you'll get a third round pick. Yeah, something of that nature. It has to be a contract or a deal that has like conditions. That would be the only way I'd be okay with that. But I still wouldn't be because, once again, you'll have to pay him. And I'm always big on building through the draft, bro. Like, seriously, I'm not – like, me, man. I'm not really big on free agents. Like, every now and then, like, one that could come in, be a difference maker. But all those big names that need, demand these big contracts, nah, man. I'm big on developing guys and getting the right guys in the building.
Yes,
that's
sir.
How you win games. Yeah,
I got
man.
one more thing for you before I get up out of here, and this is for everybody too in the chat. So pay attention to this name if it hasn't already taken before the Saints are scheduled to go in number 40. I would look towards the offense this time. If we're looking at the recent history and how the Saints like to do their draft process, I think we're going to go offense this time. Look at what Pete Carmichael said, I would say not too long ago.
Mhm.
He knows that there are some deficiencies in the offense. Guys, the Saints scored 19 points throughout the entirety of last season. Do you know where that ranks in the NFL? 27.
Mhm.
27.
That's pretty big.
19.4. That is in their last 5 stretch of games, they scored less than 13. That was
Mhm.
31st. That was
Crazy.
abysmal. And
Hard.
Pete Carmichael, he knows his ass is on the hot seat. Excuse my language, TJ. But he knows his butt is on the hot seat. He knows what he needs to work on, especially when it comes to red zone efficiency.
Mhm.
One good way to do that, look at your tight end position. There are
Mhm.
2 names I want all Saints fans to look out for. One, it's obviously Michael Mayer.
Mhm.
Number 2, Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. Not just because of their red zone efficiency in the passing game, but because those 2 tight ends have the greatest number of counts in the blocking game compared to everyone else. Michael Mayer is sitting at number 1 with 371 run blocking snaps. Sam Laporta is right behind him with 268. Those 2 guys, especially when the Saints love to do, you know how I like to try to get Alvin Kamara out in space. Those
Right.
tall sweeps, the outside zones. You get Michael Mayer or Sam Laporta as a lead blocker or out on the edge, then you got at least 2.5 yards of free Kamara or Jamal Williams before he even gets make contact with our defenders. That can really help them, especially when they're down inside the 20.
Right.
Take the pressure off your quarterback. Don't rely on his arm because Derek Carr is not that good. Is not that great in the red zone, guys. He's not. Now he is really good at making comebacks, but when it's time to punch it into the end zone early and often, he kind of struggles. Now, obviously, there's a whole different step with the Raiders, piss poor organization, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it is what it is. And until he shows you that was just the Raiders being the Raiders, you have to look at what you have in front of you on your desk in terms of where he's good at and where he's bad. I would go tight end right now. And he knows how to use tight ends. He's got many tight ends paid. He's gotten Darren Waller paid. He's gotten Jared Cook paid. If you guys remember Jared Cook, and he got Jared. He got Foster Moreau paid. He's got I think there's one more tight end he got paid. I can't recall the name. I'm gonna look it up later. But the fact of the matter is, another tight end to offset what Juwan Johnson does, you really bolster what you can do in terms of your offensive firepower inside the 20, TJ.
Yeah.
Everybody. So
Yeah.
Michael Mayer and Sam Laporta, look out for those 2 tight ends if they're sitting in number 40. Hell, they may even try and trade up if you can get one of those guys. Because I'm suspecting Mayer to go before 40. Obviously, he's
man.
Best,
Like he's not getting past the Bengals. He's not getting past the Bengals the second time around. Like seriously, like I feel like he's gonna go to the Bengals in the second round. They let him go the first time. I don't see it happening twice.
If they get Michael Mayer, I'm gonna be even more reason to hate him.
Hey
Right.
man, but hey, they're a talented team, man, and I think adding a tight end that'll definitely add to the firepower they already have. But Aaron, man, thank you so much. Appreciate the analysis. Appreciate you chiming in, man, and good luck on the Black and Gold Breakdown podcast and everything that you got going forward, man.
I appreciate TJ. I appreciate everybody checking out my man TJ. If you're new here and you haven't hit that subscribe button, what's wrong with you? Do you know it costs $0.00 to hit a subscribe button? It's absolutely free. It doesn't even hurt your wallet, bro.
Yeah,
Like, it takes
man.
us in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, look, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button and please subscribe.
My mans.
Please do that. But thank you, man. Look forward to hearing from you, man, as we get close to the season. Definitely want to get you back on the show to talk Saints football. You take care, man.
Hey, you too, man. I'm just,
All right.
hey, you know where I'm at. I'm on Twitter. Come on the show, just hit me up. I'm here. I'll make time.
Okay. All right, sounds good, man. Appreciate you, Aaron. Take it easy, man.
You too, man. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah. Man, shouts out to Aaron, man. Very knowledgeable brother right there, as y'all can see, man. Knows his stuff. Before we get to Josh, just want to acknowledge knowledge seeking. I did not expect that. Good segue, by the way. Thank you very much for the 199. Says Allen gets a pass with the pick, in my opinion. He knows defense. That is a good point, though. I mean, the guy knows defense. Like I said, I just think I just psyched myself up. Maybe that's what it was. Not like I said, I just was looking for something different, not so much the person, you know. But hey, well, we're about to go ahead and go to Josh. Josh, how you doing, man?
What's up, DJ? How's it going?
Going fine, man. Thank you for being here. See you outside. Good scenery in the background, man. Where are you right now?
I'm on Iowa State's campus. I'm on Central Campus right now.
Okay. All right. Shouts out to the Cyclones, man. William McDonald, the Fort, got drafted last night, man. So what are you familiar with Will McDonald? Have you seen him play? And what's the vibe about him being drafted? Anybody saying anything about that you've seen?
I don't know because I'm not really I've been in, with the eviction and everything. I've had other things going on.
Right.
And so I've got myself moved into a new place and I'm getting situated there. And I haven't been paying as much attention to sports or even the Saints for that matter as like I would normally would.
Right.
But yeah, he's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But I think that I'm sorry, who drafted him again?
And I'm not too sure. I just know he went pretty high. Let me go back and take a look at the rounds. I just know he went in the first round. Where did he go? He went to the Jets. He went number 15 to the Jets. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good pickup if he lives up to his promise,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that much about him, but from what I see, he's good. But hey, I wanted to address something. I'm going to address why you're wrong about Breesy, but before I get into that, I wanted to address something with a lot of your viewers, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this isn't about this, but a lot of your viewers like to dump on Derek Carr, say that he's not elite.
Well,
let me tell you guys something.
Think he's elite?
He is absolutely elite. Let me tell you guys something. This is a man that passed for over 67% of his passes for 4 years in a row. You don't do that without being elite. That's just not even possible. A good offensive coordinator might be able to hide your inadequacies for a year, maybe 2 years, but he did that at a very high level, 67% completion percentage, 4 years in a row. There's only one quarterback in history that's ever done that besides him, and he wore a Saints uniform too. So, I mean, nobody can ever tell me that Derek Carr isn't elite. He absolutely is. Plus, he's got a great deep ball on top of his, accuracy and everything. So, I mean, to say he's not elite, you can say he's not top 3. You might even be able to get away with saying he's not top 5. I think he's like top 7, but he's definitely elite. And anybody who says he's not is just hating.
Hey, let me ask you this. Let's stay on this for a second before you transition. Okay, so what makes a quarterback elite? Like we got to have this conversation because when you say elite, okay, we can talk about arm talent and skill set and all that kind of stuff, but what, in your opinion, what qualities makes you look at a quarterback and say he's elite?
Okay, well, their name has to be Breeze. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I've always said this, TJ. The very number one most important thing that a quarterback can have is accuracy.
Right.
Their job is to throw the football. Yeah, they have other jobs outside of that, but their main job is to throw the dang football.
Mm-hmm.
And so the guys with the highest completion percentages are the best quarterbacks usually, unless they're on a really stacked team, because then they've got like a bunch of star receivers helping them out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But accuracy is the most important thing. Without accuracy, what do you got? You ain't got a whole lot.
Right.
You maybe got a guy who can throw a nice deep ball once in a while, get you some touchdowns now and then. But accuracy is absolutely, positively the most important stat. And I know it's not a perfect stat. I know there's issues with it, but it's probably the best stat to look at when it comes to evaluating quarterback. If a quarterback is consistently and significantly more accurate than all the other quarterbacks in the league, like Derek Carr has been, how do you say the person's not elite when they keep doing that? Like, it's just, this is before you even get to anything else. This is before you even get to touchdown passes and, ability to like scramble or whatever. A quarterback's main job is to throw the football. So If they're the most accurate quarterback in the league, they are the best quarterback in the league. You know, that's just the way I see it.
Okay, well, let me say this. I'm one of those people. Look, I'm sorry, I don't feel like he's elite. I think there's some qualities that you need to have. Accuracy is one, because you got to be able to get the ball. I agree with you on that. But okay, does that quarterback make people around him better? Right? Does he turn does he inherit really good players already, and those players will be great no matter who's throwing them the football? Or are these players average, and with his help, he makes them above average? That's the second quality to be elite. Yeah. Third, you got to win. You got to win consistently. You got to lead your team to the playoffs. You got to go up against the elite competition, and you got to knock it off. You got to knock off the elite competition. Derek Carr has been to the playoffs once in his career, and how long he's been playing? And we can talk about the organization and stuff like that, but I can't have that because Drew Brees came to an organization and he turned it around. If you're that guy, you're going to do it. And
TJ, this ain't tennis. This ain't tennis and this ain't track. Derek Carr is not the only player on a team. There's 25 other people or whatever playing, starting on Sunday, man. And the Raiders had a defense the only defense worse than the Raiders defense while Derek Carr was playing there is the Saints defense of the late 2000s and early 2010s. The Saints defense was so bad they probably couldn't beat a high school football team, but the Raiders weren't that far behind. You know what I'm saying? Derek Carr was consistently putting up really good numbers and, again, really good accuracy. He was doing his job. He can't do the defense's job for him. He can't even do the rest of the offense's job for him.
Okay, so my question is, what happened? What happened when they played the Saints and they got beat 24-0? Why? What happened with his? What happened to the fact? I mean, he didn't put any points on the board.
He had a bad game.
Okay,
he had a bad game.
But what about? Going up toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. I'm just saying, man. I'm not knocking the guy. I think that he definitely an upgrade from what the Saints have had over the last couple of years. But Derek Carr is not an elite quarterback.
Derek Carr has stood toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes a lot and done very well. There's been times when he stunk up the house, but there's been plenty of games where he's been going right there toe-to-toe with them too. So,
has he won?
Well, again, he can't win it by himself. Patrick Mahomes has a much, much, much better squad around him.
Not throughout his career, though. You got to think about this. The Kansas City Chiefs defense just started getting good around the time when they signed Tyrann Mathieu. They had maybe a good 2-3 year stretch where their defense was pretty good when they had him and Chris Jones and what have you. But for the most part, it was Patrick Mahomes out there throwing the football, putting up about 40, 50 points. You remember that game versus the Rams that everybody talked about, the greatest football game ever on Monday Night Football? Patrick Mahomes was out there wheeling and dealing. Well, I'm saying is you got to elevate players around you.
I don't believe Carr is as good as Mahomes. I'm not saying that.
Oh, no. Look, I'm not saying that. There's levels to this. I'm just saying, when I think about when it comes to being elite, Josh, there's certain quality. It can't just be about accuracy. If that's the case, Geno Smith is elite. Look, he complete about 64% of his passes. I can name several other guys who are that you consider average, who falls into that 60 percentile, that you probably be like, nah, there's no way. No, you have to be accurate.
But they're in that 67, 68 percentile usually, the way Derek Carr is. That's a really high. Only Drew Brees has done that 4 years in a row. He's the only other quarterback. Go look at anybody's stats. The only other quarterback in league history that has ever gone above 67% 4 years in a row is Drew Brees.
I agree with that. But Drew Brees completed 67% of his passes. He threw for 5,000 yards. He took a 7th-round pick out of Hosper and Marcus Colston and made him a legendary figure in New Orleans. He took a guy who can only take the top off the defense in Devin Henderson and made him a down-the-field threat. He took guys like Robert Meacham, who couldn't do anything when he left New Orleans, and he had a lane for him with the wide receiver screens and taking the top off the defense. He led the New Orleans Saints, a snake-bitten franchise, to several playoff appearances and their first Super Bowl championship. That right there puts him in that elite category. It can't just be about he's just accurate. What has
again, I don't believe Derek Carr is as good as Drew Brees. So again, I'm not saying that, but Derek Carr has elevated players around him. The only real star that he's had in his most of his career is Devontae Adams. Like, that's the only person on that level that I can think of that Derek Carr's had throughout his career. Now, he's had some other receivers that you could put in like the pretty good category. But I mean, he outside of Devontae Adams, there's been nobody that's like a legit star that he's ever. So he's
fair enough.
So I mean, he has elevated at least the receivers and the tight ends around him. He's done that, as well as Brees. No, Brees is the greatest quarterback of all time. Okay, so like you can't even compare anybody to Brees except for maybe Marino.
Okay,
and I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but maybe Rodgers too. But
I mean, I give respect. I mean, look, I know what Rodgers is. He definitely deserves to be in that category. I just don't like his personality.
Yeah,
I don't think the wrong way.
I don't think Derek Carr is going to be in the top 5 GOAT conversation at the end of his career. But I think that I think he does qualify as elite. I think he's done enough to qualify as elite, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe not top 2 or 3, but elite, maybe at the bottom of the elite, but still elite.
What I'm just okay. So he's not Mahomes. He's not Brees. He's not Rodgers. He's not what, man. I don't even want to. I'm sorry, man. I know Jalen Hurts had a really good season, but I need to see it again before I put him in his category. Where is he? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does he sit? Like,
it's like I told you that one time, man. Like who did I tell you? I said besides Mahomes, Rodgers, and Russell Wilson, and like maybe one other quarterback, there's really nobody that you can say is far and away better than Derek Carr. Besides those 3 I just mentioned, and somebody I'm forgetting right now for some reason.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is not far and away better than Derek Carr.
What?
No. You could maybe possibly. Carr is better than Burrow. Come on, man. Now Joe Burrow can get there and maybe surpass him, but as of right now,
you're really
going to say second.
To the no, hell to the no.
Oh, no. You ain't just say this on live.
A second-year guy is better than a dude that's been putting up good numbers for years. Come on, TJ. Joe Burrow is a good quarterback and will probably be great if he keeps continuing that, but he's not definitively better. You might be able to argue that he's better, okay? But to say that he's far and away better than Derek Carr, come on, man. You haven't watched enough Derek Carr if you're saying that, man. Come on, dude.
You gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding, TJ. Come on, man.
This man has been in the league. What, he going into the 4th year? This man has had more playoff wins than Derek Carr. This man has been to the Super Bowl. This man has went toe-to-toe with the same guy that I'm talking about, and including he beat him toe-to-toe. You're telling me, seriously, you don't think there was
maybe a team effort involved in that there?
Man, no. This guy got sacked This guy got sacked 9 times in a game versus the Tennessee Titans in the first playoff run that they had leading to the Super Bowl. You ain't about to tell me this man didn't care. This man had the most trash offensive line that you can possibly see. So trash that they completely overhauled the offensive line. Josh, no way. This dude is not better. Like, this dude is not better than Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Carr is definitely better than Burrow. Come on, man. He's not better than Mahomes. Josh Allen. That's who I'm forgetting. Josh Allen is definitively better than Derek Carr. That's who I was forgetting before.
You think Josh Allen is better than Joe Burrow?
Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league right now. Like, there's just, I mean, I don't even know how anybody else could even say anything else.
Better than Mahomes.
Well, Mahomes, I think it goes kind of back and forth between those two in any given year. But Josh Allen is right there with Mahomes, and in some cases is better. But it just depends on, like.
What we talking about? Man. You really seriously believe that Derek Carr is better? I want this on the record.
You got it on the record. Joe Burrow has been in the league 3 years. You're going to compare him to
more in his 3 years than Derek Carr has achieved in his entire career, besides yards and statistics. Empty calorie stuff because his team was trash. You're telling me that Joe Burrow isn't better than Derek Carr?
No, he's not better than Derek Carr.
Ooh, boy, that's a hot take. What else you got for us, Josh?
All right,
What else you got, man?
we're gonna going on to what's his name, Brees?
Yeah,
Breesy?
Breesy, yeah, Brian Breesy.
Oh, here's why you're wrong about him. First off, his name is Brees. There's Brees in his name, so he's guaranteed success with the Saints. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Man.
but here's the thing. You're right about Saunders and what's his name, the other athletic guy that they got from the Eagles.
You talking about Nathan Shepard?
Yeah, Saunders and Shepard coming in to make us more.
Yeah,
Right. Well, the Jets. Okay, so, coming in to make us more athletic, and getting more athletic at the D line. You're absolutely right about all of that. But at the same time, somebody's got to have some size.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There has to be somebody that's that big stalwart, right? Otherwise, you're just going to get pushed back by other people's offensive lines. So, for that reason and that reason alone, I think they made the right decision getting Breesy, because they've already addressed the athleticism with Saunders and Shepard. So,
yeah, good point.
If everybody on the D line is just like this smaller athletic type, then they're going to get pushed back by the offensive line a lot. So you got to have some size in there too, man. And so I feel like Breesy will be a good complement. Saunders is going to do what they do as far as doing their athletic thing, and but Breesy is going to be that stalwart. So that's how I'm looking at that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, I think, my take may have seemed like I just don't like the guy. It's not the fact that I don't like him. I think, once again, I psych myself up to believe that they were going to go in a different direction. But what you're saying in that regard makes a lot of sense, right? You got the athleticism from these two guys that came in, a little bit of a change, a pace. But now you still need that one Stonewall guy, you know what I'm saying, that kind of fits that stereotypical defensive tackle mold right there, that can be able to plug up the middle and stop the run. So, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
I can't argue with that.
So that's my only argument against what you were saying, really. Now, as far as what the Saints are going to do, we're going, what is round 2 is tonight or tomorrow, whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Saints should just kind of stay with what they're doing as far as addressing D-line, so we can make sure we have a good rotation and not just like good starters, right? Talking about addressing tight end, I mean, we still have Juwan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget who's behind him. Do we still have Troutman? I forget.
Yeah, you got Adam Troutman.
You
got Lucas Kroll that's still out there, that came out of Pittsburgh a couple of years ago. He's still on the roster. But I don't really think tight end is really like a very pressing need. We have one weak area with this team, and that's our D-line. So you just focus on that, and anything else is just extras. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm looking at that. Yeah. I mean, look, I agree with you. They need to help on the defensive line. So maybe they'll go that route. But I just look at what your guy, Derek Carr, has done when it comes to the tight end position. And even Aaron, shouts out to Aaron, gave some really good takes on the tight end position and how Derek Carr has really utilized the tight end position, from Jared Cook, from Darren Waller, Foster Monroe. The list goes on and on. So I just think that having somebody that's a big target in the middle of the field can really help them out tremendously. And that's one of the reasons why, I've been lobbying for Darnell Washington out of Georgia. He's 6'7", 265 pounds, Josh, and he can be a real good red zone threat and a matchup nightmare if you put him in the right situation. So when I look at that, I just think that would be a good move. But if they were to get a defense, go to the defensive line.
Wait a minute, how much does he weigh?
265, and runs a 4.6, man. Like a big genetic freakish guy,
It seems to me like he would run out of gas by the third quarter or something.
Nah, man. This like, the reason why people weren't really talking about him that much is because they have a really good tight end in Georgia named Brock Bowers. Like, this guy's supposed to be like a generational talent when it comes to the tight end position. You had Kyle Pitts that came out that played for the Falcons a couple of years ago. He's supposed to be better than what he had. So he kind of got overshadowed. But, man, he can be a good red zone threat for you. And also, man, he can be a big, huge target in the middle of the field that you can, throw some passes to to extend plays and get first downs, and that's something that the Saints need. So, you got anything else for us, man?
No, I don't. If they use, I guess if we get him and they use him somewhat sparingly, I see what you're saying.
Right.
But he definitely can't be like he can't feel like the Juwan role, man.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Not as a route runner, but as a pass catcher. Like, I would say go back, like go and watch some film on him. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, his name Donnell Washington.
Yeah, I don't know that much about him. That's for sure. Yeah,
check him out, man. I mean, the guy is like, this guy's a freak of nature, man. He can be a real, like we talked about the red zone and the Saints having issues with that. He definitely can solve that problem, him and Juwan Johnson. But Josh, thank you so much, man. Appreciate the call. Boy, you set the chat on fire with the comment about the Joe Burrow Derek Carr thing, man. But hey, man, it's always fun to talk to you, man. Appreciate you chiming in.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, take it easy. Yeah, man. Shouts out to Josh. Whoo, boy. I don't know about that one, man. Look, I hope Derek Carr works out for the Saints, of course. I think that Derek Carr is definitely an improvement for what I've seen from the quarterback position over the last couple of years. But to say he better than Joe Burrow, boy, I don't know about that one. I do not know about that one. I'm going to take a few comments, and then we're going to go ahead and exit stage. Left says, wow, he have a strong arm car, way more accurate. So I said, that caller Josh, go take your beds. Troutman is garbage. I don't think Troutman is garbage. I did think that what we expected Troutman to be, he's not. But there's still a use for him. You know, I think we expected him to be more of a, a Ben Watson, but we got more of a Josh Hill, right? A blocking tight end that can catch the ball every now and then. You know, he kind of serves that Josh Hill type role. To be honest, Carr deep ball more accurate than Winston. Now I'm not even getting on this comparison. Imagine Juwan getting hurt and we relying on Troutman and Kroll to pick up the slack. I'm telling you, man, Darnell Washington is the guy. I'm telling you, big target in the middle of the field. Arm talent does not refer only to arm strength. Clearly, you may be aware of that. So I'm going to exit this exchange. Who that to you, though? Well, yeah. Let's see. I'm not even a Burrow fan, but that's crazy. But it was off the base. Says I have haters. Hooray. Yeah, I always say it's haters, man. It's just people that I don't know about that one. That's a strong take right there. That's too much cologne strong right there, boy. That is a strong take right there. But look, I tell everybody, man, look, if you just tuned into the State of the Saints podcast, this is how we roll over here, man. I ask that you hit the like button, and I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Look, we're going to have a difference of opinion, but it's not going to be one of them shows where, people just sit up here and just be like, man, you wrong, this, that, and the third. We have disagreements at times over here, but, what I'm saying, nevertheless, we're going to respect everybody's opinion. We try to keep it clean over here, when it comes to like our thoughts and views. And I appreciate everybody for, following suit. And I appreciate everybody that chimed in, that called in, making the show a success. Shouts out to everybody that took a part in the draft reaction show. That was our fourth year doing that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe let me see. We started 2019. Okay, and now so yeah, man. I mean, I really enjoyed doing that. Shouts out to DJ. Shouts out to Mike for coming over, and giving commentary. Today, I will be on the Roar Up the Lions UK podcast. It is a podcast based in the United Kingdom. I'm asking everybody from the Who Dat Nation to come on over. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, so that'll be 5:30 Central for all those that may be around the Louisiana area. I'll be talking about the Saints' first round pick and what I feel like they're going to be doing in the second round. So shouts out to the individuals across the pond for having me, man, which is insane, man. The fact that, they reached out to want to have me on the show just shows you how much this show has grown. And I'm looking forward to it, man. It's not every day you get opportunity to talk to people, from another country. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty dope right there. Now, I'm really looking forward to that. TJ's reaction to your pick live was classic. Yeah, I mean, look, I think, to be honest with you, man, I was feeling I didn't have as much energy. You know what I'm saying? Like anybody know me, I'm a type 1 diabetic. And I was like, I was trying to wait to the end to like get something to eat or whatever like that, man. So my energy level wasn't exactly where it needed to be. So I apologize like towards the end of the show as my energy tried to kind of wing off a little bit. My wife asked me, you're like, do you want to eat before this? And I was like, no, I don't want to eat before this. Maybe I should have took up on that. I mean, she is a nurse for God's sake. But anyway, yeah, but I was just kind of taken back by the pick. To be honest with you, man. But hey, man, look, I think that Brian Bresee fits that mold what the Saints normally get. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do, man. Hopefully he can be that monster that we need in the middle that can replace a guy like Onyemata, that can really make some noise and elevate the guys, not only just on the line, but also on the offensive line too, because they got to block them. So hopefully he goes in and be, virtually, unblockable. But, one person that had, that wasn't very happy about it too was Bobby Hebert, legendary Saints quarterback Bobby Hebert. He wasn't very high on Brian Bresee. He didn't feel he wasn't feeling a pick either. But, a couple of those guys in that room, Deuce, let me see, Mike Hall, shouts out to him, Mike Detillier, they were pretty much pretty sure that the Saints were going to select him anyway. Hey, TJ, play that DA walk. Play that DA walk. Let me see if I can find that joint real quick. Let me hit it. Oh, man, they give me every time. One more time. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, that is hilarious. Let's say, yeah, TJ, you probably should have listened to her, fam. Yeah, I probably should have. But, hey, man, I was able to finish the show. But, man, look, I was just taken back by that. Let me see. Oh, yeah, Levis is officially second round shorty. Yeah, man, look. I said this on the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast a couple of shows ago, and I was talking about Will Levis, and people was talking about, man, I was hating, but I wasn't, man. I'm telling you, like, when it's one thing, like, to assume these things, and like I said, man, I ain't trying to act like, what I'm saying, like I'm, some hot stuff or whatever, but I'm telling you, man, like, you walk around. Okay, so when I got to Indianapolis for the combine, right? It's so I was at the place where you get your bag. Your bag is clean, right? And you had like several guys like that were like over there, just had like congregating over on the side, waiting for their bags too. Most, what I'm saying, one of the guys were from ESPN, and a couple guys were like producers and cameramen. And it was around the same time Jalen Carter. All that stuff started coming out about him. And they were just over there just talking about it. It was like, man, I just can't believe this, man. Man, such a good talent, man. Watch he drops in the draft. And you still hearing like all these conversations. Will Levis talked to the media, right? He talked to the media, and he probably was up there talking, I'm going to say maybe 20 minutes, probably a little bit more than that. They was asking him questions. And as time went on, this dude, like, face just started to change. And that's one thing about him, man. Like, bro, like, he lacks, like, I mean, he pretty transparent. Like, what I'm saying? Like, what you see is what you get. It's hard for him to hide his emotion. So while he was up there talking, the longer it went, it seemed like he just wished he was somewhere else. You had people on the side of the stage that kind of pull the coattails of the guys, like when they feel like, it's about to come to an end. So the guy, I guess he didn't take long enough. He's over there looking, trying to see if the guy's about to tell him the time is up. But he wasn't very, very involved. And then when I saw that, I'm like, man, this isn't good. Like, the body language of this guy, like, y'all saw it last night. Like, it was pretty, like, even though this is an embarrassing moment, right? You go to the draft, you're expecting to be top 5. You didn't even get picked in the first round. And you sitting in the bag waiting like that. But his face was not, instead of him like just putting on a face like, okay. And when he started to nod, it was like, it wasn't like a nod like you know, like, okay, whatever. It's like, man, F all these people. It was kind of like that. And I'm telling you, teams look at that stuff. And by him sitting in the back and being like that, I'm telling you, teams are they're looking at that and like, man, we made the right decision. When I say I looked at Will Levis for the, you know what I'm saying, the days that I was there from Thursday to Saturday. Well, Sunday. I'm telling you, man, like, it wasn't a good look. It was not a good look. It was not a good look. And I'm talking about, like, after he walked away from the podium, you had a couple people out there like was looking kind of confused and like, man, what's going on with him? It was like, man, and reporters they were talking. It was like, man, you know, man, like, seemed like he wish he was somewhere else. And if we saw that, imagine what those teams did, and that's why he fell. So, like I said, it wasn't like me hating on the guy. I was just telling y'all what I saw. I didn't think that he was going to drop out the first round completely. But I thought, like, maybe, you know what I'm saying, he'll probably go to somewhere like Tennessee, maybe go somewhere like Minnesota as a backup for Kirk Cousins. I didn't think he was going to fall out the first round completely, but based on that just tells you right there, like, other teams saw what I saw. Hey, TJ, I made the Who Dat Nation remember the classic DA walk. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. And Marley, I appreciate that because I promise you, I did not know that was still there. And when you asked me about that, yeah, I thought it was another song was going to play. I ain't putting forward any preference for the draft. I just hope we fill our holes with quality players. I agree with that. I think that's the most important thing with that. Will Levis is this year's version of Brady Quinn. Well, Brady Quinn was a first-round pick, so he can't even be that. I heard people use an example from the fictional draft day quarterback Bo Callahan, but even Bo Callahan was a top 10. Like, this was one of the most epic fall from graces I ever seen. I ever seen that. I never seen somebody, you know, on the, you know, so many people on a hype train about a guy and he just completely like just flakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, man, I ain't never seen nothing like that before. Not in real time. I can see us picking 3 times tonight. I hope so. I hope we get some quality players in the process. Legendary Saints quarterback. Well, he is a legendary Saints quarterback. You may not agree with it, but yeah, he's the first quarterback to lead the Saints to the playoffs, right? That's something that's always going to be on his resume. And, you know, I mean, during the time when he was here, I mean, he was led by a really good elite defense. But, I mean, look, you got to put Bobby Bell among the top 5 greatest New Orleans Saints quarterbacks of all time. And I don't think I'm tripping with that one, okay? Because who you going to put on there? And maybe it's by default by some people's standards. I mean, Drew Brees, number 1, all right? Aaron Brooks, number 2, believe it or not. Archie Manning, number 3. Bobby Bell, number 4. Who we putting at number 5, right? I mean, and I only way, you know, and I know some people like, man, Aaron Brooks over Archie. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, Aaron Brooks, I mean, he threw for a lot of yards, man. He's the first quarterback to win a playoff game for the New Orleans Saints. And, you know, I mean, he put up some big-time numbers. Well, the only thing with Archie is more of a symbolic figure. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the Saints were trash all those years, and then all of a sudden here comes Archie Manning, and he had all these good qualities, but he just didn't have a really good team around him. So people just always kind of give him, you know what I'm saying, that I guess they give him that big ups because they knew what he could have been. But yeah, I would put as far as like quarterbacks doing something, you know, and doing something of historical significance and meaning. Yeah, it would be Brees 1, Brooks 2, Manning 3, and A-Bear number 4. All right. Who we putting at number 5? Somebody said Jeff Blake. I don't know, man. Jeff Blake was originally supposed to be the Saints starting quarterback. Then he got hurt, and that's when Aaron Brooks came in. Aaron Brooks played so well, they never went back to Jeff Blake. And shouts out to Jeff Blake, man, because Jeff Blake could have easily like been petty about it and stuff like that. But he said, man, if y'all feel like the young man doing it, he said, go with the young man. So, man, that speaks volumes about Jeff Blake and his character. TJ, what you think about the Saints taking BJ Ojulari? I guess I assume that's what you're talking about with our next pick. Wouldn't be something that I would just kick against. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't object to that. We all know what BJ Ojulari is. We know that man is talented. That boy a beast. TJ don't like Josh. Hear you say that about Brooks. Hey, I didn't say that Aaron Brooks was an elite quarterback. I said that he, you know, but the thing about it is, I mean, I can't even say this with a straight face. I mean, the separation from great, I mean, from great to good when it comes to Saints quarterbacks. I mean, look, Drew Brees is on Mount Everest, and basically everybody's so tiny he can't even see him. Like if we just being real, like we talking about statistics and what a person has done, and like with all due respect to all of those gentlemen, none of them are on the mountain when it comes to Drew Brees. Even with Archie Manning, I feel like Archie Manning is put there for historical significance. And like I said, he was the first best player that the Saints ever had. He was the first player that people considered as a really good player for the New Orleans Saints. So he always going to be looked at in high regard. But Drew Brees is in a class all by itself. Like, for real. Like, Drew Brees is in California, and all the rest of those guys are sitting somewhere in Kentucky. That's the distance away. Or better yet, everybody else is in Myrtle Beach and Drew Brees is in California. How about that? That's the way I feel about it. As far as with the quarterbacks, it ain't even close. Seriously, and no disrespect to all the OGs out there that have been following the Saints longer than the 90s. I know we got a lot of people that are part of that number here, but none of those guys are touching Drew Brees. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Delhomme took the Panthers to the Super Bowl. Yeah, Jake Delhomme is the what if guy, right? What if they would have decided to go with him instead of Aaron Brooks? Who knows? TJ, we should get Hooker because a quarterback might get hurt and a team might trade for James. Well, yeah, that's a good point. But if they try to trade for James, the question would be, would the Saints be willing to do that? You know, when they have, to me, the best backup quarterback in the league. So why would you want to do that, right? I mean, Jameis can come in and be a difference maker for a team, right? I mean, he can be a starter on most teams in the league. So why would you want to give that up when you have such a really good quarterback room? You know, you can lose Derek Carr. I'm knocking on wood when I say this, and you can put Jameis in, and you still can find success. You still can find success. Let's see. Yes, we should get a quarterback because DA will need someone to put in front of James. Yeah, that was a petty comment right there. That was a petty comment. Stabler. Dave Wilson was better than Stabler in New Orleans. John Forcade was better than Stabler in New Orleans. Yeah, Lamont, look. Ken Stabler, we all know, man. Ken Stabler had his best moments when he was with who? The Raiders, right? And when he got to New Orleans, I mean, this guy was on the sideline looking like Kenny Rogers, right? All white, snow white hair, slick to the back, you know what I'm saying? Was with a lifetime supply of pomegranate in his head, you know what I'm saying? And it was just it was just basically just a guy that was way past his prime. It was almost like what Earl Campbell came here, right? You know what I'm saying? Way past his prime, over the hill, past the prime, was just here, right? I mean, you might as well have Kenny Rogers out there, instead of Ken Stabler, right? But yeah, John Forcade is another guy. John Forcade, I put him as number 5. I would definitely put John Forcade as number 5. TJ, I like Darnell Washington at 40, opposite defense, would know what to do with the Saints. Yeah, Darnell Washington, definitely. I would definitely want to add him to the team, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. we better trade up in round 2 to jump Carolina before they take somebody we won't want to see twice a year. Well, I mean, teams been doing that, man. I mean, I don't want to see Bijan Robinson twice a year, but that's what's gonna happen. Well, I don't want to see Bryce Young twice a year, but that's what's gonna happen. Winston going next season, need another one. Yeah, I think that you're probably gonna get one in the later rounds. The question is, when do you want to pull that trigger? Is the question. Like I just feel like when you picking quarterbacks in the first round, picking quarterbacks in the second round, it makes the starting quarterback kind of wonder like what the heck is going on, and it makes him feel like he has to be looking over his shoulder. So, and right now I don't feel like Derek Carr feels like he has to look over his shoulder. So if you start drafting guys, in the first round, the second round, it's kind of like you just don't have that full trust in the guy, right? Because if a guy is as talented as Hendon Hooker, like 2-3 years, he don't need to be sitting on nobody's bench. More than likely, if he has like 1 year and he develops, maybe the second year he might even be a little bit better than the starting quarterback you have. So why would you want to do that is the question, right? And then you have yourself a little bit of a quarterback controversy. And then you already paid this dude $150 million. So why would you want to do that? That wouldn't, to me, that wouldn't make much sense to try to get a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. But if they do, I mean, if you feel like the right guy is there, then get him. But I'd look for the Saints to maybe get a quarterback, maybe like in the 4th or the 5th round or something like that. Maybe one of those later rounds, like a Aiden O'Connell or Clayton Tune, like one of those guys, right? So I don't see that happening in the first 3 rounds. I think that when you start looking in the first 2 rounds and you selecting quarterbacks, it might rub your starting quarterback the wrong way. They was looking at quarterbacks. I'm thinking they're going to get one in the 5th. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, that's the Clayton Tunes, that's the Aiden O'Connells, that's the Stetson Bennett's. Those are those guys, right? I mean, those guys aren't threats to anybody, right? They just happy to be on the team. TJ, I am hurt and crying buckets over you calling my comment petty. DA is a petty man. Well, I hope you're not crying. I just thought that was funny. I thought that was like, not in a bad way, but like kind of like a little stiff shot for comedic purposes. So I hope you ain't crying, all right? I hope you ain't crying for real. But nah, seriously, I just thought that comment was funny, but I meant it with all love. Let's see. Can't worry about Carr feeling we are going to have the same problem as we had with Drew Brees. Well, I don't know about that because here's the thing: like he's in his early 30s, right? You just signed him to a 3-year deal, so you can say don't worry about that, but my question is, why would you do that? Like, honestly, if you were going to get a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, then you might as well just allow Jameis Winston to stay on your team and draft one, right? You would have saved a lot of money. And, if that guy ends up like being your starting quarterback, then fine. But I don't see the logic behind it. I don't see the logic of signing a guy to a contract over $100 million and signing another quarterback in the first 2 rounds. Now, let's just say, for example, it's a quarterback that you just can't miss, right? It's a can't miss prospect that you feel like is going to change the fortunes of your team. By all means, you get him. But I don't know if the Saints look at Hendon Hooker or they look at Will Levis in that regard, right? Because if they did, then they probably would have drafted Will Levis. They had the opportunity to do so. And it's not like they couldn't because, once again, I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs drafting Breesy. I don't see the Eagles drafting Breesy. Like, you could have easily got him in the 2nd round, right? So, you could have easily just went up here and got Will Levis if you was in love with him. You could have easily got Hendon Hooker if you were in love with him, and been able to get a guy like Brian Breesy in the 2nd round. Because, I mean, when you look at it, let me look at the 2nd round. Let me pull up round number 2. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, who is going to get Breesy, and before the Saints pick to have the 40th pick? I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm pretty sure they're looking at Joey Porter Jr. You look at the Arizona Cardinals. I don't see them going interior. The Lions, I don't see them going interior. I see the Colts maybe going wide receiver. I see the Rams maybe going, adding to the wide receiver room. Seattle, I don't see that, them adding him in the interior. Maybe the Raiders. And I don't see the Carolina Panthers doing it. So I think that you probably still would have got Breesy if you would have picked him at number 40. So if you were in love with a quarterback and Will Levis is dropping and he was supposed to be top 5, right? Then if you're not going to pull the trigger then, I mean, that speaks volumes, right? Because what are the chances of doing it? A lot of teams weren't going to do that. Now, if that would have happened, let's just say, for example, if the New Orleans Saints didn't get Derek Carr, right, and they went and decided to go with Jameis Winston and draft one, then it probably would have been like manna raining down from heaven, probably in their eyes, getting Will Levis or getting a guy like Hendon Hooker. So, yeah, I mean, that I don't see the logic in that. To me, that would be a waste of a draft pick, to be honest with you, for a guy to be sitting on the bench for you at least about 2 or 3 years. Versus a guy in the second round who we've seen over the last couple of years, folks. We've seen it. We've seen guys like come in the second round and have given the Saints instant results. Alontae Taylor last year, Michael Thomas a couple of years ago, Eric McCoy. I mean, the Saints have really done a good job with those second round picks. Seriously, I even look at Ryan Ramczyk as almost like a second round pick because I mean, when he was the very last pick in the first round of the draft. I mean, ain't nothing but a high second round pick. So if you think about it, man, the Saints have done a really, really, really good job at getting these guys who can produce in the second round and be difference makers too. I can make an argument that the Saints drafting in the second round has been better than them drafting in the first. But I don't see them drafting a quarterback, long story short. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Make sure that you hit that like button. Let everybody know that you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast and all of his commentary. Also, you can subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also, subscribe to the brand new Gumbo Pot Sports podcast that's available on youtube.com. Just search the name Gumbo Pot Sports Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at TJAYJones8. Shouts out to everybody that chimed in. Whether you commented or you called in, really do appreciate that. And as we look forward to round 2, we won't be doing a live stream, of course, but we will be talking about that. I will make sure that I go live or post a video giving you all my thoughts and my feelings on the Saints number 40 pick, or if they decide to move around a little bit, I'll make sure that I get that information out there to you and my thoughts and my feelings. Also, once again, I will be on the Roar of the Lion UK podcast today. You can search that. They're available on YouTube as well, Roar of the Lions UK at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, 5:30 p.m. Central, talking about round number 1 and the Saints selecting Brian Breesy. Thank you all so much. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is Joe Burrow ain't better than Derek Carr. And also, who that?
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.